One is changing their state. So I love taking in 3 power breaths in through the belly, up through the chest, breathing out. And then I love counting down 3, 2, 1, and we yell boom, and we pound our chest at the top of our lungs, because that instantly changes your physiology.
Right.
And so many times we are not operating at a high energy level. Our physiology is down. You change your state, all of a sudden you snap into action.
Right.
And so many times we feel dips. We don't do something to change our physiology, and we wonder why we're not operating at a peak level.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Jeff Wickersham is a sought-after peak performance coach whose mantra is Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat. And it's also the title of his #1 best-selling book, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. He's the founder of the Morning Fire Coaching and leader of Kings of Sparta Mastermind. He's also absolutely crazy. He's got 1,452 straight days of meditation and 1,110 days of what is a cold shower / ice bath. And there's something wrong with you, which is why I'm glad to have you on the podcast, because I don't, we like people who don't have all their screws tight to come on the show and tell us how to live, man. I'm excited to have you on the show, Jeff. Welcome.
Sam, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, the pleasure's mine. There's 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show. Can you quickly tell us, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
So I started very middle class, right? And had a great family growing up, but I was on that safe and certain lane, right? I was in that lane that society tells us to go down. And where I'm at now, that is completely different. You said the ice baths, cold shower. I mean, I am operating at a level that, quite honestly, looking back, I would have never expected or thought could have been possible. And I love pushing the needle every single day. Where I'm headed, I'm going to change 1 million lives. I want to impact 1 million people in a positive manner, either changing their awareness, shifting their perspective, developing a bulletproof morning routine that lights them up on fire every day. But that's my mission moving forward.
Yeah, man. I love it. I love it. Where do you talk to us about a time maybe before you had this passion, this fire for, helping 1 million people? What was life before this? And then what was the defining moment where you said, wait, there's a different way?
So before I was in corporate America in different jobs, different roles, went to college, got a job out of college, kind of that traditional path that people go down. I always felt like a square peg in a round hole in any corporate setting. Definitely when I was working for smaller companies with much more of an entrepreneurial feel, that struck a deeper chord in me. And then the life event that changed everything is unfortunately, it's almost 7 years ago to the day, I lost my mom to breast cancer. Wow. So when you watch the woman that brought you into this world leave this world, it fundamentally changes you at your core. And that's when I question everything, right? Was what I was doing having me bound out of bed on fire? And the answer was resoundingly no. So I made a shift. I jumped into the fitness business. And then what organically grew out of that was performance coaching, right? How do you get the best out of yourself every single day? And I feel like so many people, and I see it in society, I call them, it's a world full of walking zombies who are going through the motions, who are not playing all out every single day. And you have so many choices you can make each day to live the best version of yourself. And that's truly my mission, is wake people up and have them living their truest potential.
When you say choices, can you expound on that?
Yeah, choices, it happens right when the alarm clock goes off, right? In the morning, you have the choice to control the day, or the day controls you.
Right.
And so many people give up that control the moment the alarm clock goes off, right? Maybe they hit snooze a couple times. Maybe they drag their butt to the shower. They're grabbing a cup of caffeinated coffee, and they're playing defense. They're hustling because they're behind. I flip that. I tell people, I guide clients to actually wake up half an hour earlier, stack all these wins physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You're going to be so much more prepared. You're in control. You're on the offensive rather than defensive. And it can totally shift just from that one choice, right? Your perspective, your energy level, your focus, your productivity. And I always related, I know we talked a little bit about my sons, right? I coach them in basketball. when you play defense, the moment the alarm clock goes off, you are like playing defense in basketball. Your knees are bent, your quads are burning after a minute, but you do that all day long. And so many people flop on the couch at the end of the night, exhausted, stressed, got nothing left, and say, I can't believe I got to do this again tomorrow. It's because you're playing defense.
What do you say for people who are, and I'll just, we're on the podcast here, but that's fine. I mean, this has been a pretty defensive year for me when there's been a lot of things that have been, quite honestly, 100% outside of my control. Right. And you go, my gosh, I am doing my best. And I'm not the only one. So, I bring this up because I think it's a relevant question in that there are times when you go, I am just white knuckling it, doing my best. What do you say to those people in order to help them get through that, that period of, just really tough periods?
One, without those tough periods, you're not going to have great periods, right? You don't, if you don't have the dips, you're not going to have that bounce. And when you get out of it, it's going to feel that much better when you get that bounce. And with every dip, there is a rise, right? With every darkness, there is a light in the days, right? So know that you're going to have a bounce. You're going to get through it. You can look back in your life. You've probably experienced some things that, hey, that was harder than this. I got through it. I know I can get through it now. And we are constantly conditioned to, hey, we need to be good in every area. It doesn't happen that way. We're going to have dips. We're going to have bad times. We're going to white knuckle it. Just know that you're going to have the bounce and you're in the spot and you can get through it. Everybody does. It's just so hard sometimes when you're living in it to say, I'm going to get through it, or I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you know full well you can. And when you have an outside influence that says that, hey, you've got this, surround yourself with somebody that's got some positive energy. All right, you're going to start that dip. You're going to start that rise out of that dip, and it's incredibly powerful.
What's one of the first exercises you take someone through when they come on board with you?
One is changing their state. So I love taking in 3 power breaths in through the belly, up through the chest, breathing out. And then I love counting down 3, 2, 1, and we yell boom, and we pound our chest at the top of our lungs, because that instantly changes your physiology.
Right.
And so many times we are not operating at a high energy level. Our physiology is down. You change your state, all of a sudden you snap into action.
Right.
And so many times we feel dips. We don't do something to change our physiology, and we wonder why we're not operating at a peak level.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I see you're standing up, and so am I, even as we record this, and just the act of standing, I can't sit still anyway, but even the act of standing, when we're sitting here talking, brings more energy into the conversation. So that's really fascinating. What's the next step? Like, what's something else you guys go through that you say, man, this is where I really see people have breakthrough?
One is that we all have 1 or 2 negative beliefs that we carry from our childhood, and it's either taken from our parents, something we've heard. It could be about money. It could be about self-worth. It could be about that we're never going to be good enough. It could come from a teacher, come from a coach, but we all have those, right? And we're trying to slam down that gas pedal and go really fast, but that negative belief is that brake, right? That other foot is on the brake. And knowing that we all have those, because so many times as human beings, we feel like we're unique, and we're the only one that thinks that way. With
right.
Newsflash, we all do. We all have dips. We all go through a lot of stuff, right? And the other piece is, how do you get past that? Well, you've got to be aware of it. You've got to write it down. You've got to see it. And I was taught this by a coach. One of the greatest things is let's say I'm not worthy, right? You've got that overriding negative belief, self-worth. Right. Write it down. I'm not worthy. And then if you're a parent, got a spouse, write your kid's name next to it. So I'd write my oldest son, Jackson's name to it. Jackson, you're not worthy. And all of a sudden it gives you 1 second of space to say, would I ever say that to my kid, my son? Absolutely not. Then why am I saying it about myself? And it'll give you that little space to move past it. So changing your state, getting past some of those overriding negative beliefs that play in the back of your mind that stop you so much from action because you've got fear, you've got self-doubt. Those are 2 powerful tools. Yeah, man, absolutely. And I think we'll probably spend the rest of our life figuring out those things that are, the limiting beliefs and things like that. I think it's like one of those things where you get through one and you're like, oh wait, but then there's another, and then there's another, and maybe it's a chipper. You just, you keep working at it, and it just you keep whittling it down. But I think it is a fascinating exercise when you start to
discover things like the poverty mentality. Or, I mean, that's something I, personally, coming from a poor background, it's like, golly, like, maybe, am I not worthy? Like, why not? Like,
I heard money doesn't grow on trees so often, right?
right.
And that was, why have I struggled in my past with money? Well, because money doesn't grow on trees. It's a scarce resource, even though it is so bountiful, so plentiful. So
Right.
yeah, it totally is a game changer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about your book a little bit. Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire. I still can't speak today, man. It took us like 3 tries to get through your intro here. And my tongue is somewhere not attached to my body. Either way, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat. Let's talk about that book. Can you give us some insight on that, why you wrote it, and what the kind of big idea is behind it?
So you talk about dips, hard times, right? I actually started writing this at the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020. My late mother was a reading teacher, loved books. I know she was looking down when I published it saying, I can't believe I'm not there to celebrate it with you. But it's the 4-step methodology that I take my clients through. And Rise, I relate that to a phoenix rising from the ashes each day, right? Reborn, new possibilities, new opportunities. The fight portion, you're fighting for your physical fitness, mental fitness, nutritional fitness, emotional fitness. And as adults, we lose that fight dog mentality. We need to get it back. We need to fight for what we truly want and desire. Loving yourself, most importantly, right? If you love yourself, you can love all those around you that much better. And then that secret sauce, just the repetition, right? Because so much of what we do can be 80, 85, 90% of what we do is through our habits and rituals, repeating it over and over again. So it becomes the foundation for personal, professional success in your life. It's incredibly powerful. It's simple. It's not easy to be consistent in doing it day after day. But if you have that foundation, right? When you build a house, when you build a real estate project, what do you start with the foundation, right? If you have the foundation solid, no matter whatever happens during your days, you're still going to be rock solid in your path forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the idea of choosing your hard. I'm not sure how I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's something like you have to choose your hard. It's hard to eat, good food, right? It's hard to get your nutrition right, but it's also hard going to the doctor to treat your problems because you didn't put the right nutrition in, and so now you're sick. And so it's like you got to choose your hard. So I like that. I like that idea of the discipline. Talk to us about your disciplines on that note. The crazy 1,110 days of a straight cold shower or ice bath. What in the world?
So I love challenging myself physically, because when you challenge yourself physically, we're physical beings, right? And when you challenge yourself physically, the mental gifts that come out of that, I feel outweigh actually the physical gifts, right? You break through mental hurdles, and the cold shower, ice bath. I'm a Wim Hof fan. Started taking that up a couple of years ago to the point where every day when I take a shower, it is just ice cold. And I live up in the Northeast of the United States. So in the wintertime when we're filming, we're recording this, it gets pretty darn cold. But it's that mental challenge of saying, my mind is basically saying, Jeff, you're crazy. Turn it on warm. Why are you going in here today? And so many times we listen to our minds, right? Because they keep us safe and certain. Well, that process of going through and saying, you know what? I am not going to listen to you. I'm going to move forward. You are basically dictating to your mind how you're going to act. And that can transfer to everything else in life. When you feel that fear creep in from your mind, you can say, you know what? Go sit in the corner. I'm moving forward. So it's just that practice, that getting in that habit of doing it, that can be so incredibly powerful. And there's some other benefits to it, but it's amazing. I feel like $1 million when I get out of there. And a quick side story, my family was like, the hot water heater's going last winter. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't taken a warm shower in quite some time. You guys got to up for a while and just take a minute warm shower. So
right. I'm sure your junior high age kids were right on board with the cold shower in the morning. That I like the idea of the mental gifts that come along, because I've for a while struggled not with physical fitness, but with the potential pride that can go along with that, right? Like, man, you go to the gym, you work out, and you're like, oh, you see these meatheads, and they're all shredded, and it's like, okay, but but I've always enjoyed it. I've never been able to quite identify it. I think you just hit it, because there is the mental gift that goes along with accomplishing a goal, sticking to a discipline, coming out on the other side with like, oh man, I am capable of this. What are some other mental gifts maybe that you find, or some other things maybe even that you do that produce the mental gifts that you want?
So two things this past in 2021. One was in March, I did the David Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar with David Goggins. He's a former Navy SEAL, author of Can't Hurt Me. He's a ultra marathon runner, broke the pull-up record, Guinness Book of World Records, 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. He's one of the toughest men on the planet. Well, he throws down this challenge where you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours straight. So you're basically doing 48 miles in a weekend. And I had one of the guys in my Kings of Sparta mastermind challenge me to do it with him. And I did this past March. And I'm not a runner. I don't particularly like running long distance. But here in March, I started at 11 p.m. on Friday night, every 4 hours up until 7 p.m. Sunday. And I basically almost ran 2 marathons in a weekend. And you only get an hour and a half of sleep. You've got sleep deprivation. You've got nutrition. You've got all these things. But to be able to push myself to complete it without walking once, just knows that I basically mentally know I have so much more in the tank.
Right.
And that any obstacle that comes in front of me, I'm going to attack and I'm going to beat it. It might not be today. It might not be next week or a year from now, but I will eventually win because I'm going to be relentless. I'm going to be tenacious. So that's number one. And then this year I did 100,000 push-ups as well. I just set a goal for that. And I was just doing that day in and day out. I had a mark of 300 push-ups a day. I hit it in late November. It's just that discipline of doing it every single day, right? Before I get on a podcast, I drop and do 30 push-ups, right? It's just that nature. And when you can start to mold your mind through the physical pieces, there are so many gifts and you become unstoppable in what you're going to do.
Yeah. And in this sedentary kind of existence that we have now of office chairs and Zoom calls, we're on a Zoom call right now, but it's, you lose that kind of even more animalistic grit that we had to develop early on. We've lost touch with some of that. So I think challenging your body or your mind rather. Your body is far more capable, I think, than your mind. So really getting your mind in shape is really a valuable skill. Hey, I've certainly enjoyed this today. Let's talk about some other things here real quick before we jump into the final four. Talk to us about what you have defined maybe as a failure in your life, and then how did you overcome it?
My first business as a gym owner was definitely a failure. About 100K in debt, right? And just didn't know what I didn't know jumping into the entrepreneurial space. Wow. And now I've learned so many lessons from that as far as discipline from a finances perspective, discipline to do the work that truly matters in your business, not the busy work that you can all fall in those traps on your business. So that definitely was a tough pill to swallow. I don't like to necessarily say anything was a failure, but that was, and I've learned from it, grown, and now feel so much more equipped to take on anything in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love that. I think, is this Tony Robbins that said there's no failure, only feedback? Is that
correct? Correct. Yeah. And if you frame it up that way, all of a sudden it feels light, right? And okay, feedback, what do I need to adjust? And you keep moving forward. It's that constant growth, that constant progress. And today, get better than you were yesterday. Just focus on that. And tomorrow, get better than you were today. And if you can have that mindset, amazing things can happen.
What does it mean for you personally to be successful?
Freedom to do what I want when I want, as well as impact as many people as possible. So just the freedom to design my life the way I want to.
Right, man. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Certainly have enjoyed it. Let's jump here to the final four questions. What's one tool or resource you find you can't live without?
My meditation app. Meditation every single day has calmed my mind, and being able to sit in silence for 10, 15 minutes and focus on my breath has been a game changer.
Right, man. That's fantastic. My second question is a real estate related question, but I'm not sure it's going to apply because I'm not even sure if you're in real estate. But if you could help our listeners avoid one mistake in real estate, or let's even tweak it a little bit and say, it's one mistake that people are making in mindset or goal setting or anything that you want to add in here. What is one mistake you could help our listeners avoid?
So I am in real estate. My brother and I have owned rental properties for 17 years.
Oh, good.
You need to treat it like a business, not like a hobby. You got to treat it like a business.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. When it comes to investing in the world, what's one thing you're doing right now to make the world a better place?
Giving my time to those kids that I coach in youth sports and guiding them not only in the sports arena, but sharing lessons that are going to teach them and guide them in life.
Right. I love that. I love that. How can our listeners get in touch with you or learn more about you?
They can go out to www.themorningfire.com. I've got tons of content there, links to the podcast, links to my book. You can find my book out on Amazon, Rise, Fight, Love, Repeat, Ignite Your Morning Fire, as well as you can search up Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs on all your major podcast providers.
Awesome. Jeff, thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Sam, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for listening to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate podcast. If you can do me a favor and subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform it is you use to listen, if you can do that for us, that would be a fantastic help to the show. It helps us both attract new listeners as well as rank higher on those directories. So appreciate you listening. Thanks so much and hope to catch you on the next episode.